Okay, I think this is the last theoretical video of I'm going to do on this channel that no one watches. Um, and the reason I'm kind of getting rid of the theoretical stuff, the reason I started this channel was to document the demise of Canada at the hands of real estate and anyone that was propping up the cost of real estate in this country. It was making us less competitive. It was making people go far into debt. It was making people's lives almost impossible. Young people couldn't get ahead. The rents were sky high, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that was going to destroy our economy. But we didn't get to that point because we have a giant asshole to the south of us who is, trust me on this, hell bent on taking over Canada. And anyone that thinks that he isn't is a fool. And I'll tell you why. The stock market is crashing right now in the United States because there is so much chaos. But Donald Trump truly does not care what happens because he has his eye on the prize. He is now pushing tariffs ever higher in a competition with Ontario and Canada. And it is going to hurt Americans even more. We know from the recent numbers that came out that Americans, while they are spending more, it turns out they are spending it on budget items, which means we are getting near the end of the people saving the crappy economy in the United States. He doesn't care about that. We know that flights, domestic flights in the United States are going down. That is a bad sign for the economy. He doesn't care about that. He has not done a single thing to help Americans with the crisis that they are facing. Instead, he has his eye on Canada. Okay, this is not a tariff war to get American milk into Canada. This is a war to take over Canada. And it might come to actual war because he is signing something soon that is he's a state of emergency for electricity. Once there's a state of emergency, I don't know what his powers are as the United States president, but I imagine they travel very far. So we have that. So let's summarize this. Trump wants Canada. He doesn't care about the stock market. He doesn't care about your 401k. He doesn't care about you and the fact that prices are going to go up and you're not going to be able to afford things. And that is a long-term thing. He does not care. We know this. He does not care. He has dreams of grandeur. He's an absolute narcissist. And I'm saying he's a sociopath based on the fact that he says he wants less killing in Ukraine and then takes away intelligence, which means more deaths in Ukraine. He's killing people. He's literally killing people with his policies intentionally, not because, there was too much empathy, and we'll get into that in a second. No, because he's a sociopath that has a goal, much like Putin, right? His good buddy. So that's number one. So we'll see if he succeeds with that and can get the American public behind being broke and maybe even going to war for a day and a half against Canada. But then dealing with the fact that you'll essentially have a Northern Ireland that hates you as part of your country, and terrorism will run rampant, and a lot of people will die for hundreds of years, probably, right? They'll probably keep the border there and say, let's just keep the Canadians over there and take all their money and their resources. It's not easy to control countries that you've taken over. This is something we've learned and learned and learned and learned. Look at the British Empire. Where is it now? Well, it's a crappy little country that can hardly stand on its own 2 feet. Let's be honest, right? They are in the dumps. They had a short period of success that is now being even further destroyed. But anyway, I don't want to pick on the UK because I like them. I'm not pleased with Starmer not coming to the side of Canada and saying, no, we support Canada and the United States definitely shouldn't take over Canada, but he doesn't care. So go screw yourself. Okay, so that's part one. Part two, let's say this whole plan doesn't kind of work out. People get upset, and Trump gets a lot of pressure, and they can't just go ahead and take over Canada because people don't want a war, and people don't want high prices. Prices are going to go up. There's no way around it. You pay the tariffs that Trump puts in place if you're in the United States. In Canada, we pay the tariffs, but we don't have to buy American shit, and most of it is shit. You can fucking keep it. I will buy Godin guitars, and Fender can go fuck themselves, right? I don't need your shit. Other people make shit. But let's just say, he cannot get the support, yet he fucks the economy completely, which he is doing right now. Let's talk about the asshole supporting Trump. Jeff Bezos. Slow clap for you, you fucking moron. A person that could have gone down in the history books as someone who created one of the most fantastic companies. Now, with a little bit of union busting and treating people on the floor like shit, that would be the caveat. But a fantastic company that managed to create a stranglehold on delivered goods, let's face it. But Jeff Bezos, that's just not good enough for him. And this is a theme about all these billionaires that takes us back to the robber barons and the period that Trump wants to return to. There's never enough money for them. They've always got complaints. Okay? Let's look at this. So, Jeff Bezos orders Washington Post opinion section to embrace personal liberties and free markets. And apparently these are the only, this is the only subject matter that the opinion section is going to have. Bravo, such a brave move, Jeff. So, yeah, I guess the problem is that you don't have enough personal liberties and you haven't had a free enough market to become one of the wealthiest people in the world on the backs of how many tens of thousands of people that get treated like shit. You're an absolute disgrace, and you've fallen into this fallacy that all of these billionaires do. Someone says no to them, and they get so upset because they've done so much, and they deserve so much, and they should be able to walk all over anyone they want. You look at Elon Musk, that's his modus operandi. He doesn't care about the money. He wants the money to come in to show that he should be able to do whatever he wants, and he should be able to walk all over whoever he wants. He walked all over the people at Twitter. He's walked over some of the people at Tesla. And now he's walking all over government employees, and there's no reason why he should be the one doing that other than the fact that he is an absolute sociopath. He went on about how empathy is a problem recently. You can read about how lack of empathy. Come on, do we have to even explain this? What narcissism is, what sociopathy is, how lack of empathy leads to people that follow orders to kill other people? Do we really have to get into that? But anyway, Jeff Bezos seemed to be doing well for a while, but he has fallen victim to this as well. Why can't I do even more? Why can't I treat people worse? Why can't I make more money than I'm making now? I need personal liberties, and I need a free market because I need to not be constrained. I need all these things because I'm a fucking baby, even though I'm a billionaire. He has fallen into this. He looks like an idiot. He will go down in history books as one of the biggest fucking morons and babies in history after achieving so much. So he's on side with Trump with this because this is all libertarian bullshit. It is a fantasy much like anarchism that things will just run, and they will not. This has been attempted several times. It's all bullshit and philosophy to make these poor little babies feel better. And so they go after it, and they are enthusiastic about it, and they think that they are right because it makes their life better. Personal liberties. How about the personal liberty is to unionize and to fire you? No, that's not a liberty because unions, then you have to do what they say. Oh, so we should just do what you say, Mr. Bozo the fucking clown. All of these tech people lining up behind Trump, you better hope that he takes over Canada. You better hope that, the market that's going to be in a free fall soon doesn't completely collapse and wipe out everything you have. You have attached yourself to someone who, in order to succeed, must destroy Europe for Putin and must destroy Canada for for himself. And trust me, China will be taking over other countries while this happens. That's what's happening. That's what you're supporting. So anyway, my complaints about Canada don't really matter anymore. Our economy is going to be crushed very soon. The good side is I guess we will finally have that housing crash, although house prices still aren't going down, even though we're literally at war with the assholes south of us. So I don't know what it takes to get house prices to drop in this country. We've needed it now for 10 to 15 years. It won't happen. People refuse. But that is one of the few things that could save our country during all of this, is that if the cost of living can be reduced via house prices crashing and rentals flooding into the market, because we have so many potential rentals available that are just tied up because no one's buying the property and it's just sitting there. Like in Toronto, we have so much. That could help us to overcome. A lot of people would be starting over, but eventually they're going to have to anyway, unless they die before the housing market crashes. But that could help us to survive the economic crisis that we're going to have, thanks to the Americans. Thank you, America. Wish I'd never visited there. Wish I'd never bought any of your products. Wish that the two great companies that I worked for, that my friends started here in Canada, hadn't been bought by American companies. I'm so sick of it, And I have lots of friends in the United States, and they did not vote for Trump, and I do not have any dislike for them at all. And I want the best for them. Obviously, they're my friends, right? There are so many great people in the United States. Unfortunately, there has been this underlying current. I remember hearing it at my cottage. The only thing I had was a radio. And one of the stations would bring on, I think it was syndicated, talk radio from the States. And these guys were assholes. Like, they were just literally assholes, just going on being angry about everything that didn't matter. Starting a ruckus amongst the working class that, welfare is their problem. Everything's their problem except for billionaires. Well, we're seeing now, and Americans are really starting to see that the billionaires are their problem. Jeff Bezos is your problem. Elon Musk is your problem. Donald Trump isn't a billionaire. He's a moron. They're all morons, but he can't even, he can't keep a company afloat, it seems, They are the problem. You're starting to see it now. You've got a president that told you prices were going down. We're going to go down. You're going to have more money in your pocket. And what he really planned was, I'm going to start a trade war. I don't care about the American people and what they go through. I don't care about the stock market. I have dreams of grandeur, and I want Canada. And everyone's going to suffer because I want to do what I want to do. Right? These are the sociopathic, that's the sociopathic side of the United States. And I'm sure every country has it. It's just that if we had talk radio like that in Canada, people would laugh at it. If we had talk radio where they were saying, the problem is the United States and we really should take them over, people would just laugh, right? I mean, there are comedy films about this. So bad times ahead. Will it come to war? There's a good chance. Americans are having trouble stopping the sociopath in chief. And I have no doubt that he is capable of saying we're just going to go to war. It's going to be very quick. But I will say, with every country that gets taken over, we've learned this over the centuries. Apparently he has not, and Putin has not, and China is going to eventually find out, if they continue on, that it doesn't work over the long term, and it creates problems for everyone in your society. And then there are eras of violence that you can't get rid of, right? And people's standard of living has to go down, and levels of security has to go up. Imagine the amount of security you're going to need for any American business in Canada if any of this shit happens. And we have tons of them, folks. So yes, when you start these kinds of things, they can escalate very quickly. Donald's not that stupid. He knows this. And, really, with everything the United States has done over the past month and a bit, they're giving Europe to Putin, they're taking over Canada, and they're going to get fucked by China. There's no way around it. The news over the past 24 hours about finance is that it is the end of the age of American exceptionalism, and money is fleeing from the United States, unhedged money. What I'm saying here is that money that's in the United States because people thought it was a sure bet and thought they didn't have to hedge against it are in a panic mode because they just realized that Donald Trump is an absolute moron when it comes to the stock market and he's going to drive it into a free fall. And so when you have unhedged investments, there is a panic to get out, and that may happen at any point in time. And so all of that is true. But what I'm saying is a lot of people would think that Donald would say, shit, we got to get out of this problem I'm making. No, he doesn't care about the stock market. He doesn't care about the American people. He wants Canada. And so he will continue with this. And if it gets really bad, it will come down to war. So that's the reality of the situation. The old problems that we used to have that, the federal government here in Canada supported high house prices. Well, they're still trying to they're still saying we need to encourage foreign investment in our property. It's like, you guys really aren't getting it. This is what starts the problem. We need affordable housings. We do not need speculation. So Canada is still stupid. Canada has no solutions for the problem that they've created with their policies, and these are conservative policies. The liberals embracing it makes them an absolute joke, and it makes anyone that says the liberals are communist an even bigger joke. It's not communist to support private property to the point that they have. It doesn't make any sense to call them communists. It's just people that hear, oh, they're woke, and that's communist, and it's like, you're a moron. Do some research. Buy a book on geopolitics or on macroeconomics or something, you idiot. I'm so frustrated, but all of this is brought on by the morons on Twitter that and Truth Social that only get this much information about what's going on and they run with it. So whatever. So that's my little rant. I may check in at some point in time to what's there to report? Everyone can see it now. The stuff I was kind of wanted to talk about was kind of like under the covers, and it's like, this is going to cause a lot of problems for us, and we need to solve these problems or it's going to get really bad. Everything that's going on right now is very visible. It's very obvious. And there are a lot of people in the United States that support Trump and want all of this to happen. I think they're stupid. Moving 19th century politics into the current age seems like a huge mistake. But I will also warn you that a lot of totalitarians, like people that have that side to them, they're all romantics, which is mean that they're looking back to a period, and that's often the period. Hitler was like that as well. Doesn't work out well. All of these people are narcissists with dreams of grandeur that think they're achieving something. Putin, Hitler, Trump, So the future is unwritten at this point in time. I could predict stuff before, and all the stuff you're seeing now, I kind of predicted, but I cannot predict if we're going to go to war. That's really the only question left. And I also can't predict what's going to happen in Europe with Putin and his expansionist dreams, and now the United States. How can anyone say they're not walking away? They already have walked away. Come on. They're screwing Europe every chance they get. Oh, and J.D. Vance, I really do hope that it is a failure, Donald's little scheme here. But I want to tell you, it's important to me as a Canadian, but it's even more important to me to watch you eat shit at some point in the future, because you are a disgrace, not to America, but to all human beings with the way that you treated Zelensky. And I hope that you fail, and I'll pay to ship some shit to your house for you to eat if it does fail. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention. So, it's a two-parter. Um, Obviously, as a trade partner or a partner in any sense, the U.S. can no longer be trusted. We signed a trade deal with them just a few years ago. Trump signed it, and now he's saying it's crap. Well, then maybe you should have signed a better deal, you know? So that is part of it. But I also want to say American companies constantly try to skirt the law. Okay? Do some research into Uber, trying to prevent municipalities from finding out that they were operating. They were not wanted. They forced themselves in, and then who knows what goes on behind closed doors, right? But we have regulations for a reason. Sometimes there's too much red tape. Sometimes it's a mistake. But this whole thing with Uber is an absolute disgrace here in Canada. Why do we have a foreign company running all of our taxis? There's no reason for it. And they know there's no reason for it. And that's why they put on the pressure tactics. And that's why in some countries they break the law. Yet in the United States, there's no penalty for that. Airbnb is another fine example. In areas where they are not supposed to be allowed to rent out entire homes, right? Or apartments or whatever, they continue to do it. As far as I've seen, based on some reporting. We don't want them. Most of Europe does not want Airbnb running. So there's two problems here. One is government, municipalities, maybe federal, I don't know if you call them federal governments over there in Europe. The governments have to stand up to this, right? Well, I guess that, an Airbnb, what else am I going to say? But my point is this. American businesses are running roughshod over us and destroying our economies. They are buying up properties around the world, driving up prices, and driving everyone into recessions as well. It is time to kick them out. They're at war with us all anyway. So I really suggest that all European countries and Canada get rid of Airbnb, kick them out, kick out Uber, and if you need to replace Uber because you don't have taxis anymore, then replace it. You know, there is absolutely no reason for these companies to be running roughshod over us. And the other companies, I've mentioned this before, all of the high-tech companies, Google now says that they will use AI if they decide to against you, right? For surveillance and whatever. I've said my bit about Facebook. I'm happy, guys, to see your stocks cratering. I want it to go further. I saw Oracle was down too. Hopefully Oracle will get to zero. I have no sympathy for these high-tech companies. They are treating their workers like crap. They're doing it at the behest of Trump and Musk. Because part of what's coming for America is that employees should feel like dirt and take the scraps that they are offered. Okay? Trump talks about keeping jobs in the United States. These companies, many of the high-tech companies, are shipping jobs overseas every single day. Go on Reddit and look at layoffs and read some of the stories there. And I guess the final thing is the United States has been pushing, and a lot of economists or investors, I guess would say, have wanted the United States to push. By treating employees so poorly, it brings down the costs and it makes them more powerful. And people have wanted this to move to Europe, where they consider it communism, that someone should get a severance package by law, for example, or that you can only fire someone for a reason. I'm sick of this infiltrating the economy. So as we turn our backs to the United States and hopefully we survive, let's get rid of that shit. So we'll stop buying your stuff, stop interfering with all of our rights that we have to choose a government and to choose how we live our lives, right? And we're going to stop buying your crap, and we're going to buy our own stuff and support a higher living standard that the United States cannot offer. There is this dream that the American dream. It is a dream because upward mobility in the United States is garbage in comparison to many other countries. You are being lied to every day in the United States. So this upcoming economic or just straightforward war is not for you. You get treated like garbage. These companies are treating you more like garbage right now. Elon Musk is showing how people will be treated under this regime. The rest of the world wants nothing to do with it. Keep it for yourselves. You want a society where people are treated like shit? You live in that society. We don't want it. Okay. Thanks for listening and have a good day.